Force on Force features the largest and strongest outdoor military organization in the country. These are the men and women who make it possible to enjoy the freedom to hunt and fish. It is with great pride that we bring you Force on Force podcast, coming to you from the Force on Force TOC.
Hey, welcome to the Force on Force podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Dalrymple. We're here in the Force on Force TOC. We've been off for a couple weeks. We've had a lot going on. We've been at a couple expos. I've been traveling, getting back home, getting ready to start deer season here in Kentucky, and been traveling to a couple football games. But we want to catch you guys up on the end of Army Hog Hunters Force on Force and bring on Patrick Appling and the first ever Army Hog Hunter Force on Force champion, Robert Richards. But not only is he the first ever hog hunter, but he's also the first ever champion who's we're going to call it species champion. How are we going to officially do this title there, Patrick? Because he won, but the bass side in season 3. And now he's Army. What's the official title? What are we going to do with this?
Oh my goodness. It has to be species, it's two different genres there. Had to be species. One's hooves, one's fins. All right. Hooves and fins.
Yes.
All around champ. There we go.
I will say this. I'm gonna ask Robert this question. First of all, how you doing, Robert?
I'm doing all right.
Have you ever beat me?
I've technically never. Well, I don't know how to phrase that because he knows I can't go into the details because we're filming a TV show. But
he's never beat me on TV. That's all I got to say right there. I beat
your partner. I beat your partner though.
I'm 1-0 against him. So I guess hey, at least 2 of us are champions on this podcast.
Ooh. Oh man.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about we got Patrick over there. How's it feel to be in such esteemed membership right now? You're not really a member, but just in the presence of 2 people that are members of the
presence.
Yeah,
both of y'all want to shoot a rifle against me, but my kryptonite is no longer my kryptonite. So I'm shooting down with my bow, my archery, my bow and arrow. So I should be all right for archery season and come Army Buck Hunters Force on Force. So we'll see how that goes.
It's you gotta kind of stay on that archery thing. I'll share a picture on Buck Hunters about people getting ready for archery season to open up here, especially in pretty tight group. But I'll tell you this, man, I've shot a couple weeks ago down at the Texas Trophy Hunter, and I was all over the place, and a lot of it was just not checking my zero and things like that, and things that kind of loosened up on my bow and things like that. You got to kind of stay on top of that. And
especially me and you, Shawn, we got those Garmin bow sights and everything, and the high-end bow sights, and if you don't pull it out, a good buddy of mine a long time ago told me, you need, once you get consistent, you're shooting dimes at 20 yards, dimes at 40 yards and everything, you're dialed in. You need to go out at least, every other day and shoot 1 or 2 arrows. Previous owner of a certain deer lure, I can't say right now, but, he's really big into archery and stuff. He told me that go out every other day, fire a couple arrows downrange and everything, just to keep that, that muscle memory and everything in line and everything.
Well, not just that, but we do so much traveling. I'll tell you, that thing loosens up a little bit, no matter how hard I try and do it. So it's just kind of deal. But what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the final championship and really, Robert, how that goes down and how it feels and just the deal. Robert comes on as a bass guy on this show, and you're kind of the outcast, aren't you?
Yeah. I've got a gun I've never shot before. A shirt from Rory. I've got at least my jeans were brand new, or my Cryptek pants were brand new, and you had to give me an Army hog hat because there was no Marine hog hats. And then, like you said, you got me because I had your jersey on a couple of the shoots. So.
Robert, you have my OCD and my NCO, my Army NCO in me, just pinging the whole time.
Hey, like in true Marine fashion, what do you always say about you Marines? You get all the hand-me-downs from the Army. Robert was truly living that life out there. What you, Robert?
Patrick's talking about Army NCO. I mean, I'm senior to Patrick.
Yeah.
Well, you should have been in the right uniform, the right place inside with everything in it, right? There we go.
When Chuck tells me, "Hey, you're going to go up and do this," and oh, by the way, I get no information about it. It's like, oh well, yeah, it's because I don't want to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. But to be honest, it was good going in with no expectations, and believe it or not, I went with the flow. I didn't. At times, I get a little over myself sometimes, especially on the bass side. But I didn't say anything. You said be here, be there, be here, be there. I just did whatever anybody wanted, and I really had no expectations going in. From that standpoint, I think that's why I was calm as I was through most of it. I just didn't have any expectations, and I learned a lot and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's kind of key. I know, Patrick, you guys did a good job kind of setting that up and kind of keeping everybody on their toes. And I know, you saw a lot from different competitors, but what was your kind of impression from Robert from that perspective?
Robert came, it wasn't nonchalant. He was calm, cool, and collective. Some of the other competitors that have been on the show has competed, either Force on Force, Army Bass Angler, Force on Force, Army Buck Hunter. But this is the first ever Army Hog Hunter. And, you had two past national champs there. You had another guy that competed against me a couple times, and they all wanted to win. They were hungry. Robert comes in there humble, slow to smooth as fast. I kept saying that through the lanes. He went in there and executed. He shot consistent the whole time and just progressed throughout the lanes. And then at nighttime, he knocked down hogs. So he progressed throughout the course.
Hey, here's the other thing. Robert, you're left-handed, aren't you?
I am.
So talk about how different that is shooting perspective-wise, especially, shooting not something that's your weapon system. Because we use the same weapon paired up with that hawk scope to kind of give it a level playing field when we're doing the shooting competition. Now, everybody shot their own weapon when we're shooting that sort of hunting stuff, but how does that play into it? I know most people don't, I'd say a large percentage of us are right-handed. And so we don't ever think about it, but when you're shooting a round ejected out of a semi-automatic platform, how does that affect you from when you're in that?
Well, and just small background. I mean, I'm right-handed, but I'm left-eye dominant. And I had a lot of early on when I was younger in my life, I had with my retina, and it kind of fixed itself. It was still I couldn't see real well. And my dad was always giving me a hard time when I was shooting because he's like, why are you leaning your head over the rifle? And I'm like, I can't see out of my right eye. I it for years and would not let me switch. Well, fast forward, I go to my stepdad, and my stepdad does the old diamond trick, where he says, hey, put a diamond up on a target, close your eye. Can you see anything? No. He switched me over left-handed. And ever since then, as a kid, I mean, it was pretty natural. But transitioning in the military, like you said, I'm using a right-handed rifle on a firing line. I'm catching brass. And in the Marine Corps, we shoot known distance. We don't shoot a lot of combat courses. It's marksmanship training. And I can't tell you how many times I had to wait a good minute or two to see where the other brass was going before I ever sat down in my placement, into whatever shooting position I was in. I don't know what. If you have a properly sighted rifle, I think with a scope, I think anyone should be able to pretty much pick it up and be able to at least, hit the target. And I shot really well the first round, and all I did was adjust the focus. I just tried to, you just kind of try to adjust. Not a lot of time to think. So it was, can I see through it, see the target, and then just remember remember the principles of shooting. That's all I tried to do. I messed up. When they said use shooting sticks, I didn't use my sticks till the last round, and just not practicing like you guys were just talking earlier about a bow. I hadn't really shot a lot in the last 20 years, or I should say the last 12 since I retired. And, it just took, believe it or not, almost till that last round for my muscle memory to actually begin to come back. And that was the biggest key. I mean, your rifle shot fine, Shawn. I mean, like I said, I did good in the first round, and then I just don't know if I don't know what happened, but I just did a lot of focusing on that last round. I knew it was coming down really tight, and I saw all those red hearts go down, by the way, Patrick. You didn't count them on the show, but all those red hearts got shot. I physically watched each of them in the scope go like flip. So I think it shorted me a couple of points, but
it was a splash. It was a splash. That's what it was.
Okay. But that's the big thing is I don't think it really matters right-handed or left-handed unless you're shooting around multiple people. And on my nights, I did make sure my partners, when we positioned shooting, we positioned my shooting 2 lanes. I had everything from straight ahead. Right? They had everything from straight ahead back to the left. So that way we kept our fields of fire and we didn't interlock and we didn't do any of that. Safety was paramount when we were out there.
So Robert, Robert, you were talking about, it was Shawn's rifle and everything, and Shawn has stuff zeroed, his hawk scope zeroed to him. Was you worried about, his optic being zero to somebody else, or did that play a part?
It concerned me was my Wiley X sunglasses are also prescription. So I was looking through prescription glasses through a scope. And I was worried about getting some refraction out of my scope, or not out of my scope, out of my sunglasses, because they're, even though they're prescription, they still have a slight curve to them. So you have some, what's that called in there? You have some distortion.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that concerned me is I didn't have this, but I mean, I had to put it in perspective. There was a lot of talk about shooting your own gun, doing this, doing that. Shooting one gun, everyone had the same, I want to call it constraints, but we all had the same, the same set of rules. So there was,
it was through one standard and everything. Well, you have one weapon system and everything. But one thing that I learned in the military, if say me and Shawn was out there and he was to go down, I'm able to pick up his weapon and still be able to get rounds on target. You sort of say, if it's zeroed, especially in a scope, millimeters is going to be off. It's not a big deal. So we kind of want to level a playing field. We've done. I can't really go into the details of it, but some operations that I did as a dog handler and stuff, we trained for that. If a person goes down and their weapon goes down and you're out of ammo, I'm going to grab Shawn's weapon and still be able to fire down range. It's kind of same concept that lane. It's one weapon system. You have an equal platform throughout for every competitor.
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody had the same standard and able to fire down range.
The Marine Corps
didn't know that. Yeah. I just didn't know that played into your concept of thinking and trying to compete against other competitors.
In the Marine Corps, battle site zero is the BZ is 300 yards. That's what we set our rifles to, is 300 yards. But yeah, no, believe it or not, I didn't nervous. Well, Jeremy took the lead into the final shooting, and I don't think that I got nervous till I was walking up there to shoot. Because I had no pressure. I mean, I had to lead most of the time. And the points were what they were, and that's how they fell. But like Shawn said, you guys could see on the drone, there were a lot of hogs around a lot of people that they never even got close to.
Yeah.
So the potential in some of those zones, they could have blew out of the water. Really.
Let me tell you, Robert, when all the competitors left, me and Shawn went out walking around the next night. Me and Shawn put 14 hogs on the ground. And, y'all talked like, me and I'll throw Shawn's name out there too. He was very good. And the first time I've seen him hog hunt and stuff. A lot of people didn't plan on the hunt, here in South Texas, and especially, this is hog heaven down here. Spot and stop. Spot, move. You're going to spot on top of a hill. You're going to spot and stop. You walk towards them. You're going to put hogs down. And then you're going to glass some more and move. Just spot and stop. Me and Shawn dropped 14 hogs, and we won't talk about his 300-yard shot. I'll get to that probably later. Luckiest shot I've ever seen in my life. Lucky. But I think, coming in, people had time to game plan. So, this is a learning event. A lot of y'all didn't have a lot of experience hog hunting. But like you said, me and Shawn sitting there watching the drone, and reconning and surveying, there's hogs everywhere. If they just got to glass in that thermal and move down a little bit, glass in that thermal, move down a minute, put boots on ground and walk, man, y'all could have dropped 14, 15, 20 hogs a night. There are hogs all over the place.
I think here you bring up an interesting point, Patrick, and I'll throw this out to Robert and to Patrick. We all know this from our time in the military, and I think this is kind of a point to bring home. You kind of alluded to a little bit. How much do you tend to misjudge distance at night versus the daytime? I think that's a kind of a key takeaway.
Oh yeah, that I didn't realize, and you guys had the drone overhead. I didn't realize that one hog we shot, we were laying down the prone. I didn't realize it was only that when we laid there and it walked up. I didn't realize it was only 25 yards from us.
Right.
I had no idea that it was actually that close. Right. You're seeing them out there on your thermal, and I made a couple longer shots. I wasn't even close to them because they were only like 60 yards from me, but they were like 150 from me, and it was a big challenge. It was better to spot stalk, and then they were heading toward you, just lay down and wait for them to come in at that point. I think that was the better choice.
I think a key takeaway with that, and way I'll kind of tell it to the listeners out there. So I'll take it to land nav, and so you can kind of, so the listeners can understand. So if you do, every soldier, Marine, you're taught basic land nav skills, and you have what's called a pace count. Your pace count is the number of steps that you take that equal 100 meters. We have what's called a daytime pace count. You have a nighttime pace count because you typically don't take as long as steps at night. And so you half step at night and you don't realize you get to misjudging distance at night. You think you're actually, going further than you are. And distance at night becomes such a, those little things you do right. I know that's kind of the takeaway. Patrick alluded to that shot that I made, but what he's not, the real behind the scenes story is we tried to shoot a group of 4 earlier tonight that we totally jacked up. I mean, all honestly, because we did misjudge the distance on him, right?
Yeah, we did.
And Patrick and I walked the distance. And now I would tell you the only reason I shot that one later in the night is because we missed the first ones of that first group that night. And we realized really quick that it was like what we think distance is not what the distance is. And we gotta be like, we adjusted really quick. And I think that's kind of what plays into it that night. That distance still is like so different. See, when you're shooting daytime, anybody can look out there and be like, oh, that's 50, 60 yards. That's 100 yards. That's that. But at night, it kind of changes the perspective of it, And so that was kind of cool to see that kind of replicated at there, because I think that was, you saying you had no stress walking up, but any of those guys, if they had figured that out, could have really had killed a lot of hogs out there, because there was ample opportunity to do that. It was just incredible to see a lot of that going on.
What they call our area, the pipeline, I think is what they called it.
Yeah, the pipeline.
And that one feeder out in the middle, and I'm watching footage, from you guys, from what you guys were looking at, and to the right of that feeder behind that grove of trees was like 50 or 60 hogs just sitting back over there. And that wasn't more than 75 yards from where we were at.
No.
And
yeah.
I was like, man.
Yeah, it was kind of neat to see how that play, and that's really how that drone kind of plays into it, to be able to see that bigger picture and to see how it goes from that. But so you did shoot, and you won the championship. And I know you said you weren't stressed until you walked up there. And you still didn't know till we got back to the talk. I mean, after you shot, how did you kind of feel? Like, what was your thoughts after the shooting?
Well, I knew I shot smooth better, and I swore. And Patrick's like, "Damn it, now we can't use that." It's like, but because I was like, "Man, I shot the what out of that."
Yeah.
And walking back, they're saying not saying anything. Commenters are like, got Thomas saying how you did, and Justin's like, dude, that sounded really smooth. He goes, there wasn't like much hiccups at all. And I was like, yeah, I think I did pretty good. But couple, and they could tell that I had shot pretty good, because I hadn't, talked crap real hard. And and Justin knows me, and a few of them know me, and I was real quiet. So I think they knew when I was quiet that I had done pretty good because, yeah, like I said, I didn't get nervous till shoot that final range. I didn't get nervous at all, and then I started. Then I had some nerves going, and I was like, man, I could actually probably win this thing. And I mean, I went in thinking I'm going to finish last. Don't show, I'm going to show. I'm going to, show that Marines can't shoot. I mean, I got all these things running through my head. But
yeah, I think I think one thing we did was we brought over typically from the buck side, everybody had kind of known how everybody's kind of shot. I mean, but I think was kind of cool was we brought over something from the bass side of the house where you don't really know, which you kind of alluded to. We didn't let each of you watch how each of you shot, even after the other groups had shot. So everybody's shooting was completely isolated from everybody. So it was almost like that thing from similar to the bass side of the house. You don't know until you get back to that talk of them. Like, did you kind of feel that same thing that you felt in season 3? Kind of deal that same familiar feeling of I think I got it, but I don't know.
I knew how well he was shooting.
Yeah.
And and I didn't know. And then, Patrick says, Jeremy, and you shot the lights out, you did all this, and and then they say, you're the top shooter. And I'm like, well, crap, I lost. And I kind of had a little deflation because at first I had, like I said, never entered my mind until the last round. And then I was deflated. I was like, man, then I was kind of disappointed because I thought I didn't win, and that's when I knew it was kind of real. But when I thought I didn't win, I'm like, man, I got that close. What if I had gone out? And my things through my head is, what if I had actually went out and shot some more? What if I had done this? What if I had done that? Would that have made a difference? What if I'd shot one more hog? Or, all those what ifs go in. It's like, but he queued. So that was the real emotion part of it, that that I didn't try to, that I didn't show, or you guys didn't know, but I actually was a little upset when I thought I didn't win. Because then I was like, man, what, I just came and had fun, but what would have happened if I actually would have put a little effort together? A little more effort, going in.
Right.
Because I'll tell you, the average Marine, believe it or not, shoots pretty well, especially known distance. They all do. By the time they come out of boot camp and do everything else, they shoot really well. I shot all my life, but shooting our weapons that we shoot is a completely different thing than a lot of our regular long gun, bolt action rifles. But the principles of shooting are the same, but there are some differences. But yeah, I was a little disappointed when I thought I lost.
I mean, that's kind of fun. I mean, I know Patrick enjoyed kind of messing. How much fun is it to host? Patrick, how much fun is it to get to mess with the guys when that happens?
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun messing with them. I know those lanes were pretty challenging. We try to set it up to resemble, the aspect of hog hunting and stuff like that. And one of the things is, I got my hats off to Robert. He paid attention to detail and followed instructions and everything. There was a time, it was my first time hosting, so I didn't know if all my instructions was to the point and everybody understood. As I'm making sure, hey, do you understand? Do you understand? And Robert, hey man, my hat's off to you, man. I told you to lane of fire. You went down there and you, like you said, that last lane you shot very well. So Jeremy, he kind of he did show up on that last lane, but yet he shot out of the safety is paramount, and we have to make sure safety is always uppermost in my mind, be it for the TV show or even hunting. Know what you're shooting at and what's behind it. That's one of the principles of safety of shooting. So he actually shot outside the lane, so it is what it is. Y'all two were right there neck and neck. Y'all was chasing each other's coattails the whole time. So,
and I think it's paramount to mention that he actually, and I thought it was pretty admirable on his part. He was the one who said, "Hey, I messed up." We didn't even say, it wasn't even. It was Jeremy who just stepped up and said, "Hey, I messed up," and it was. I mean, his integrity is beyond reproach when it came to that, and I think it just says a lot. So it was just. when the when
Yeah, when he did it, when he did it, I was right there next to him. You know, he knew what he did, and he even took that sigh of breath, like, oh, I shot outside the lane. I was like, yeah, you did. So, you know, that's when me and Tim talked and the host, and we came to the decision. We couldn't just take away 1 round or 2 rounds. You know, it was 3 or 4 rounds, so we couldn't gauge or score those targets because we didn't know if he hit or not. You know, he was outside the lane, didn't follow instructions, so it is what it is. Drillings were going, and you're rushing that lane, that hog's moving down that line and everything, and you're just trying to dump those rounds down there, and he shot outside the lane, so it is what it is.
Yeah, so it was good to see this season. It's just we're re-airing some of the best parts of this season. They're still going on the Sportsman's channel, and it's a lot of cool content that we gathered from there, and just to see how it to see the hog and the war on hogs out there is kind of cool, and they'll kind of get Robert to kind of tell that story. I think it really gets back to what we do. Everybody does from a military perspective. We all train. It all goes back to basement rifle marksmanship and those little things that we learned at the initial stages and what they kind of mean, and you kind of revert back to those, and just to kind of see them kind of play out was fun to watch. And I know we're getting ready, Patrick, to start hunting. Get in the whitetail. Gets ready to kick off here in Kentucky. My bow season starts here in like 2 days.
You lucky. I gotta wait till
actually,
Sean.
Yeah, Saturday we start bow hunting here Saturday. Got a lot of deer on trail camera coming in the wise eyes. Trail cameras. We're tracking a lot of stuff. Got some stuff I'm looking at down on a. Here's what's really cool, Patrick. Talk is the wise eye trail camera system. I have them on our lease in Texas. I got them here on the farm here in Kentucky, and then the farm down in Alabama. So being able to see all that stuff and track data to everything is good. Is going to be really cool. I killed a monster 6-point buck that almost a 22-inch spread. And when we say monster, I mean it was like you don't get a chance to kill a big 6-pointer that's that wide last year, and it's all because of that wise eye trail camera that kind of gave us, hey, that he was coming in down on the property in Alabama. But that hunt will actually be on this season of Army Buck Hunters. So a lot of cool, as we get ready to open up the buck side of the house, hunting's going to kick off. And we're doing something new this year, aren't we, Patrick, with what we're going to do for buck hunters. We today we released on the website and on social media, we're putting feelers out there for people, military, past, present, that want to be part of us and do some self-filming hunts to have a try to get their stuff on TV. And so that's going to be really something cool for this season. Season 7 as we kind of change it up on the buck side. How excited are you to kind of see how that, because that, we've seen it a little bit before.
We've been, me and Jared, our producer, Deeport Productions and everything. We've been, me and him has been friends over 20 years now. We started way back when with another Marine buddy of mine back in Logan County, Kentucky, and we all self-filmed and everything. And this day and age, everybody takes out a video camera. Everybody does. Right. And they get filming and everything out there. Now we're just opening up to the military, community, like you said, veterans, active duty, whatever, to send their footage in and have it shown. That speaks apart and gets their face out there, gets the military community out there, shows the outdoor aspect of it, and gives us a face out there. It's awesome. I got buddies right there in Logan County, Kentucky, on my farm, looking at my dad showing everybody a wise eye game count pics of our big 10-point down there. And I'm comparing his 10-point to my 10-point here that coming in called Y Boy. So wise eyes plays a big part in it, and analytics and everything else. So adding that in, adding the military aspect, people submitting their videos and everything, I highly encourage, everybody to just, I don't care if you just first time ever filming, send it in, send it in. We can piece it together. We can make it work. If it's good quality footage and safe and ethical, send it in.
Because we want to just catch the raw emotion, those things that get as many, whether it ends up on a TV show, on social media, or on the YouTube channel. We want to be able to capture that and kind of tell the story. I know Robert's got this bug. It's kind of back to Robert's kind of get this bug that with hunting and everything now, and that we want to kind of share that story with everybody else out there. And I think that's going to be kind of cool as we move forward this coming deer season to do some stuff and kind of deal. I mean, I'm super excited. We got some cool stuff happening. We're actually headed next week to Woodward, Oklahoma, to a expo. We'll be at there with the fish tank. We'll be doing some cool stuff, and then the following week we'll be at Fort Cavaso, Lake Belton area for our annual Fishing for Freedom event. We still need boaters out there, guys. It's a big deal for us. We need boaters to take all the veterans fishing. It's the annual event that we do to have say thanks to all the soldiers and retirees and things for all the hard work, and we appreciate everybody that gets involved with that. I know we'll all be there, me and Patrick, and we get to be a part and put that event on. I'll tell you, it means so much to me. I'm taking a Friday night off from going to my high school son's football game to be down there. And so you guys, y'all know how much in trouble I am. So I'm making a sacrifice to come and be a part of that. You know, everybody else can sacrifice a little bit of time. We do have Lawrence has come on board and has donated a HDS 10 Pro to all the boaters that register. Will be entered into a drawing to win that HDS 10 Pro. And so that'll be a really cool deal that we have out there. And so I think, you know, we're doing some really cool things, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen on the hunting side this fall. You know, got some cool builds that are about to take place on some guns and put some Hawk optics on them, and you know, we're good. You know, I appreciate all the hard work you do, Patrick, and I appreciate Robert for sharing your time with us and kind of sharing your experience there on the TV show. And you know, maybe one day we'll get Patrick with a ring, a belt buckle or something. You know, we can bring him on board, and maybe he can be part of the game. Yeah.
Well, you know, Shawn, if you want to give everybody a chance, I mean, you know, invite me onto the Buck Show, and you know, we'll see if I can shoot a right-handed bow, left-handed.
And hey, I want to go against Robert opening round. You know, first round.
I'm gonna have to cut that. I'm gonna have to go back and cut that scene. We're gonna have to post that video from you from like season 3 or whatever it was, when you just like almost hyperventilate on the rifle range.
Oh, it was hot. It was hot. That's what it was, Shawn. It was hot.
We're gonna have to post. Hey, we're gonna have to post that out there. I think that'll be great content for everybody to go back and like, hey, this is what happens. You know, when you talk a lot of smack, you know, you have to kind of like, whatever. Because
I still outshot Justin. I still outshot him. That joker just outshot me with a pistol. That's all it was.
Well, it was really, what was it, like 39-40 or something like that? It was like
it was I was 40 and I was 39. He was 36, and he came back and beat me with a pistol. And then in season 5 is when I shot lights out. Hey, Robert, 38 bullseyes out of 40. Well, I shot 40 out of 40 with 38 bullseyes. And so
with what?
Yeah, AR-15.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, you know, like a pistol or something, you know.
Oh, I said 5 for 5 out of pistol at 30 meters. Come on now.
We start at 30 meters with a pistol in the Marine Corps.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. do it with a Malinois. Do it with Buzzer Malinois next to the side. Let's see that happen.
Malinois. But those little bitty dogs, they only weigh 45 pounds.
Oh my Lord.
So hey, we appreciate everybody listening. We hope you guys check back with us next time on Force on Force podcast. If you want to know more about Army Bass, Biker Hog, go to forceonforcetv.com and be sure to apply to be next season Army Buck Hunters. We'll catch you next week. Woo!
Thanks for listening to the Force on Force podcast. Join us next time as we dive into more topics from the Force on Force talk. For more information or to learn how to join the organization, visit our website at forceonforcetv.com.